Google Pixel 7 Pro is the most advanced phone Google has ever released. But is it better than the iPhone 14 Pro, or for that matter, even the Google 6 Pro from last year?
For the past week, I've switched away from my love of everything Apple and replaced it with a Google phone, Google headphones, and for the first time ever, even a Google Watch. And if you are thinking of switching, then I've got 5 things that I liked about the Pixel, but also 5 things that I really did not like.
Also, stick around to the end because we're going to be giving one lucky viewer a brand new Pixel 7 Pro.
So, for the good stuff, battery. So we're not quite talking iPhone 13 or 14 Pro Max territory here, but it is still very impressive. Now, I've only had a week with this phone, so I still need to wait another week for the intelligent kind of battery management to kick in, which only really makes this even more impressive in my eyes. Now, for the last few days, I've started my day at around 7 AM, used this phone constantly throughout the whole day, and I'm comfortably getting to midnight with over 20% battery still left. Now, I felt like I was on my phone more than my Pixel shows, but apparently that was 4 hours of screen on time, which means with 20% left, this could comfortably get 5 hours of screen on time. And that's before it's done any of its power optimization. Now, next up is bugs, or finally, lack of bugs. Now, Google has finally solved the issues we saw with the Pixel 6 and the 6 Pro launch, where bugs have basically been solved across the board as far as I'm concerned. As long as you have the October patch installed, automatic brightness now works as expected, the slow and pretty unreliable fingerprint sensor has been improved, the back tap feature works as it should do, voice dictation also works, and also some camera bugs which I was experiencing have all been resolved with the October patch. As far as the fingerprint sensor goes, it is still using an optical sensor, which is what the Pixel 6 had, but I'm happy to report that it is now much faster and much more reliable than the Pixel 6. But not only has the fingerprint sensor been improved with the Pixel 7, we now have Face Unlock, which as an iPhone user is very refreshing to see. But whilst you can use Face Unlock to unlock your phone, if you are doing anything else on your phone that needs you to improve something, then that will still force you to use your fingerprint. Now, I haven't really noticed any issues with this day to day. You know, in a typical day, you'll unlock your phone maybe 50 to 100 times, whereas the apps you're using will probably only ask you to authenticate with your finger or password just a handful of times. Now, Face Unlock isn't as secure as Apple's implementation of Face ID though. Now, with Apple, you have a whole bunch of sensors built into this front display up here now. It's the reason why we have the notch, or the dynamic island as they've now called it. You've got infrared, proximity, dot projectors, all of these things which calculate if it's you or someone else, of course, in front of the phone. With the Android, and so with the Pixel, all it's doing is using its camera to compare as best as possible with the images it stored when you enrolled in the Face Unlock to start with. But generally, as far as bugs go, I have had a few in the first few days of using this ahead of its release, but this morning it literally got an update which fixed all of them. So right now, I honestly don't have any issues with this phone at all, at least as far as bugs are concerned. Now, there are no issues with apps crashing or things not working as they should be, like we saw with the launcher of the Pixel 6. And right now, this is actually less buggy than my iPhone 14 Pro Max, so go figure. Speaking of bugs, one of the biggest annoyances that I experience like multiple times a day with Android is getting usernames and passwords to autofill properly within the browser. So firstly, you should be using a proper password manager, not Google Chrome for many reasons I've mentioned on this channel before, as well as enabling two-factor authentication. And secondly, since Keeper also ranked very highly in my password manager comparison that I do each year, they've also given me a pretty good discount, which I'll share the link to down below. Now, they did sponsor this portion of the video, so thank you very much, Keeper, and I genuinely believe they have a really good product. Now, next up is just the sheer smoothness and performance of this phone. Now, I'm not going to benchmark this thing because I just find benchmarking with numbers against other numbers can be quite pointless. Like in some cases, totally unreliable if you're Samsung, and they don't really reflect the actual day-to-day use of this phone. Now, normally with every Android phone that I get, I'll end up going into developer settings and either speeding up or totally disabling animations to try and speed up the phone. But I've just not felt the need to do that with this phone. Swiping up and it's immediately there. Opening apps is fast, and I've yet to actually experience a slowdown or laggy interface at all with this phone. Even when zooming in and out on the camera, which always, I find normally causes all sorts of issues with many Android phones I've tested, it is rock solid, with only some small changes in perspective of each lenses, and admittedly still a slight shift in colors as you switch between those lenses. And actually, whilst we're there, speaking of which, the camera system in the Pixel 7 Pro feels to me somewhere between the, if I can say it, high quality and responsiveness of the iPhone and even the S22 Ultra, with their choice to include an actual useful telephoto lens here. It is a direct shots fired at the S22 Ultra. Now, I know these are comparing the extremities of the lenses, but these shots just show how capable the Pixel's telephoto lens is, combined with all of the onboard tensor chip processing compared to the S22 Ultra. Camera comparison coming soon, by the way. Now, which then raises another question. The S22 Ultra is currently £1,149 here in the UK. Pixel 7 Pro, just $849. Now at that price, Google is also throwing in either a pair of the earbuds or the new Pixel Watch completely free, which means for the cost of an S22 Ultra, you could instead have a phone, watch, and headphones. So this is serious competition on the pricing front, and I for one am actually really glad to see this. By the way, YouTube can be really tricky for a small channel like this, so if you're enjoying this video, a thumbs up goes a long way to getting YouTube to show this to more people, and please do consider subscribing to this channel by clicking the link down below this video. I've got tons more videos around the other tech like Pixel Watch and the whole Google ecosystem coming soon on this channel, so you're in the right place if that's what you like. Now, we still have all the features that made me fall in love with the Pixel 6 Pro last time. Things like very accurate voice dictation, which lets you dictate messages, punctuation, emojis, and even send the message without any delay. You've got features like back tap, which lets you quickly toggle the flashlight, launch the camera, or any other app on the phone as well. And recently, with the Pixel 7 Pro, I also got to use the language features, which I've never really used before. And interpreter mode is pretty awesome. Like, you can actually legitimately hold a conversation in two completely different languages as long as you can communicate in relatively short messages, like things like asking for directions or a restaurant, and it will translate, read it out loud, and show you on screen the translation. It genuinely makes like the cross-language conversations possible, but I did find it difficult to use for longer sentences or like explanations of something, as it would just time out after a short time and start translating even if the other person hadn't finished speaking. But overall, it's a pretty amazing feature considering it's still doing all of that translation on device. So those are the good things, but here is where things take an unexpected turn. Or rather, they did, and then just moments literally before I sat down to make this video, Google dropped a software update which fixed basically all of the negative points that I had written down. So here is a somewhat much shorter list of minor issues that I've encountered. And also do let me know down in the comments what your experience has been like as well. First, going back to the camera now, and specifically with Twitter. Now, there is an inconsistency with the photos you take directly within the app. Simply snap a photo and the resulting image is nothing like what you took, as if you'd been holding the camera in like a completely different position all along. Or actually what I think is happening is that the preview is going slightly off the edge of the screen, so it's not actually showing you the actual image it's going to capture, which is a minor annoyance, yes, but like I said, I'm really reaching into the barrel here. And it is worth a mention here that this wouldn't normally surprise me on any other phone, since historically, when you use your social media apps on most other Android phones, they don't actually have direct access to the camera. So instead it just captures the image that it sees on screen and uses that instead, which is why I hear so often people complain that images taken directly inside an app look poorer quality than those compared with the camera app itself. Now, this isn't the case with the Pixel, but there is definitely something happening here for Twitter to kind of make that happen. Hopefully just an app update can solve that one though. Now, next for me, I guess is more of a general comment on the state of kind of the Android ecosystem, if I can use that word, and a bit of a request actually for you to help me please, because with an iPhone, I find there are a ton of options for accessories and specifically charging. I've got so many docks and like charging accessories. I can just charge the phone, I can charge the phone and the headphones together, or the phone and the watch and the headphones, like all three together in one. But so far on Android, I'm yet to find a good charging dock that does like 2 or maybe 3 in 1 charging. Now, this one was sent to me a while back. I can't even tell you who makes it because it doesn't say anywhere, but this thing has failed to charge pretty much every Android phone and every device I've used with it. It doesn't charge the Galaxy Watch 5, it didn't charge the Pixel Watch, more on that in just a moment, and it didn't charge my phone. It basically just doesn't work. So please just tell me, comments down below, have you found a charger that will wirelessly charge an Android phone, maybe a watch, maybe some headphones as well? I would just love to actually try one out that actually works. And whilst that rant might be a little bit unnecessary, it raises a point because the Pixel Watch can't be charged by any other traditional watch charger. So this kind of means that to charge the Pixel Watch, you have to use their own charger. So my whole rant about compatibility is kind of null and void because, yeah, Pixel Watch. And actually I am kind of used to this, you know, Apple with them constantly changing things and making us buy dongles and adapters, but I can normally buy something that fixes these problems. Whereas right now the fix is basically to buy the Pixel charging stand, use the charger that came with the watch, and then charge the headphones somewhere else, I guess. But anyway, I digress. Back to the Pixel features though, call screening. And I really hope this is better in the US, because every time I've tried using call screening, like here in the UK, the caller just hangs up, like assuming it's voicemail or something else perhaps, which is kind of frustrating because when you don't genuinely know who's calling, I just kind of want to use the call screen feature to, you know, find out who it was so I can then answer it when I realize it's something I want to speak to. But at least here in the UK, we get 2 voices, both of which sound pretty robotic to me.
Hi. The person you've reached is using a screening service from Google.
So I can understand why people hang up as soon as they hear them. So this year with the Pixel 7 Pro, it actually feels pretty identical in your hands with the Pixel 6 Pro. So I think Pixel 6 Pro owners should only probably upgrade if they can get a good trade-in deal. But I think if you're considering your first Google Pixel, and particularly if you're moving away from the iPhone, then the Pixel is a solid choice.